Welcome back to another video. In this video, I am going to show you the difference between using a full practice hand and a practice finger. If you're wondering which one is best, stick around to the end of the video and you'll be able to see the different application methods. So I'm going to start with my practice hand here. This is the red Iguana practice hand, and the practice finger is from Amazon. It will be linked in my Amazon storefront in the description. So the nail tips that I am using for both the practice hand and the practice finger are these C-curved coffin tips. Now you can use any shape that you want, of course, but the C-curve is what makes a very big difference, especially if you're not gluing down the nail tips. So I really like using the C-curve. It fits very snug. So I'm just going to put in each nail tip on each finger, and you'll be able to see in like the side profile how snug it fits. And it makes a really big difference compared if you're just sticking in a longer size nail tip. It really just wraps around the nail. So this is the red Iguana hand that is fully posable. And I'm going to use my little stand, and I'm going to start by filing the nails. Just because it has that little extra piece at the tip, I'm not trying to change the shape too much. I'm just filing down the tip so that it is nice and smooth. So now that I have this hand ready to go, I'm going to show you what it's like applying acrylic on this practice hand. So this is just going to be an application video as well. I'm going to use this color from Not Polish. It's a beautiful lilac color. Young Nails monomer as always, and my number 12 brush, that is the DND brand that I got from my local nail supply store. Again, size 12 brush. So let's get started on the application. I'm going to start by applying on this practice finger. One thing that I like about this practice finger is that you're able to bend it if you need to, but you can go move it side to side as if you were applying on a finger. You know, most of the time you want your clients to relax their hand, and you're actually able to maneuver the finger to match your application. So you'll be able to see a standard application. I do a few beads. If you're wondering which method is the best for application, it's really going to depend on the size of your brush. In another video, I'll go over why I love this size 12 brush so much, and you'll be able to kind of get more info on why I like this brush. So just stay tuned and I'll have that video out shortly. So applying with this finger is very easy. It gives a very lifelike application. Not that the full practice hand doesn't give a lifelike application, but with the practice finger, I feel like the cuticle area is a lot more similar to a real nail compared to the practice hand. The practice hand I have is from Red Iguana, so maybe other hands might be better. That could be a possibility. But with the practice finger, it's so easy. Now we're going to move on to the application with the full practice hand. Now, as I mentioned, this is a posable practice hand, so you can bend it in any position and it will stay in place. So when I practice with my practice hand, it's very similar, of course, as to working on a real client, because you have all those fingers attached, right? So it's going to give you very good practice as to how to hold somebody's hand rather than just using a finger, because a lot of times, like maybe 99.9% of the time, people don't only have just one finger. So that is a huge plus when working with a practice hand. I would say that using this hand really sped up my techniques and just the way that I do nails overall because of how realistic it is with the workability. So let's talk a little bit about my application here. As you can see, I am doing the tip bead on all of the nails first. Now, I find that this gives a more even application rather than doing one full nail at a time from cuticle bead to the tip bead, like just the whole nail. Instead of doing that, doing one bead on the same bead on all the nails is going to give you a much more consistent outcome because you know exactly what you're doing is going to be the same on all the nails. So it's going to give you much more consistency throughout your set. So I'm just doing the tip bead on all of the nails, and then I'm going to go into my next bead on all the nails, so on and so forth. I really like this not polished consistency. It has been really hot these past couple of days. I do have the AC on, but somehow it's still pretty warm in my nail room. So this application the consistency was not as runny as I thought it was going to be. So again, temperature plays a huge role in acrylic application. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you keep that AC on blast, especially in the summertime when you know you're going to do some nails. Okay, so we are getting to the last part of the tip bead, and I'm just making sure that the sides are clean and we're ready for the next step. So now I'm going to add the apex bead. Now this apex bead is going to give the nail its strength and it's going to give it its body and its shape. So you don't want to add a bead that's too big because you're just going to make the nail more thick than it needs to be. You don't want to add a bead that is too small because you're just going to create weak nails that are going to just break in half. So you have to have the perfect ratio of acrylic and monomer, or the powder and monomer, so that you have the right enough bead that has the right enough structure for your nail. So just keep that in mind. Using this practice hand is very beneficial because you can also practice full set designs. You can get 2 hands, but they're kind of expensive. So I only have the one that was gifted to me. So you can practice full set designs rather than if you have one finger and just put all the fingers together. Not that there's nothing wrong with that, but if you want to really showcase your work, a practice hand is really nice. So now I'm going to get down to the cuticle bead. As I mentioned, the practice finger, the individual finger, has a more lifelike feel to it when doing the cuticle bead. I find that none of my clients have nails or nail beds like my practice hand. I don't know if you've noticed that. Maybe I should have gotten a different brand practice hand because I've seen some really nice ones. But this is the red Iguana practice hand. And when I was first starting to do nails, this was the hand. This was the brand. At least the one that I was mostly interested in at the time. So let me know, do you have a practice hand? What brand do you have? Do you have red Iguana? There's so many other practice hand brands. It's crazy. So I'm just doing my cuticle application. And that's another thing about this practice hand is you really get more practice in at once compared to the practice finger. Of course, you can just switch out the tip and do another one, but you get the real experience when you're using a practice hand. So it has its pros and its cons, of course. The practice hand is a little bit more pricey, and just depending on your financial situation, you might not be able to get the practice hand, and that's okay because the practice finger still is really good for practicing, also displaying your work. You don't have to show that you're holding the practice finger, just show the finger itself. So something else to consider as well, it still looks just as nice. So we're getting towards the end of the application here. One thing that you can do, whether you're using your practice hand or your practice finger, is after you do the application, just push up the nails a little bit higher up into the hand, into the little socket, and it's going to make it look seamless, because practice hand, practice finger, regardless of what you're doing, is never going to be the same as a real client's finger or whoever you're doing nails on. So just keep that in mind. This is just for practice, but it's not like the real thing. So let me know what you think of this application. It came out pretty smooth, pretty consistent, and let me know if this video helped you determine if you should get a practice hand or a practice finger. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any requests, leave them down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.